and everyone else can also participate in the discussion and relate it to their own group as we discuss.
Okay, madam. Let me look for the document and I share it. Sorry for the delay, but the document is still loading.
No, it's okay.
I hope you are viewing my screen.
Yes, I am.
Plus, that's what we worked on.
Okay.
Secure web applications in light of data privacy for web users.
Okay. Let's
So,
just, rather than go through the whole presentation, let us go to your objective.
yeah.
Because your objective lets us know what. Yes.
General objective over madam specific objective.
Let's start with your general objective. Your general objective, which should be one sentence.
Oh, sorry, this is not the edited document. Let me look for the edited document. Sorry, madam, this is not the edited document. I'm looking for the edited one.
If Morris, your group is not yet ready, I've just looked at Group J's work. One of your classmates had been asking me to look at the work. Could you share yours?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Okay, just let's go straight to your general objectives, because that will guide, that's where it will be guided by the methodology. Okay, so your general objective is to design and implement the most appropriate tool that can influence online studies. I would change that to that can support teaching and learning, not influence, but support teaching and learning at Uganda Matters University. That's what I would change it to design and implement. Now, and this would be already you're telling us at Uganda Matters University, yeah? Now, that statement alone in your general objective is essentially telling us you already have a case study and you're going to use case study strategy or case study method. Not so?
Yes.
Yes. So all of you, I hope also your classmates, your group mates are listening. Already that statement is telling us you're using a case study method and you have a case study Uganda Matters University. So in your section where you're discussing methodology, would expect to see that you're going to use the case study method and your case study is Uganda Matters University. Okay? Two, the fact that you're designing and implementing it means you're going to use the design science method. So you have two research methods or research strategies that you're using. That is case study and design science. Okay, now from our discussion of Saturday, how would you use the case study method? can you give me an indication of how you could possibly use the case study method?
I think here we're going to use a case study method, and then we have to explain how the Moodle works.
You want a tool to replace Moodle?
Like we are going to explain how the Moodle tool works.
My question to you is the objective to replace Moodle? To improve on Moodle?
To improve.
To improve. So here, the objective would be to, what exactly would you want to improve on Moodle?
Like we want to make it a bit interactive.
Is there something in particular you are thinking about? Because Moodle is quite interactive.
Make it a bit more interactive. It's not.
In which way? Because if it's a discussion forum, it already has one. It already has a chat option. So, in which area? You can actually even think of a specific feature that you want to add, and say to design and implement this feature onto Moodle, and you specify that particular feature in your general objective.
Okay.
Which feature? You think about it and then put it there. It would be part of your general objective. Then under your specific objectives, your specific objective would be, the first thing would be to actually determine the processes that are necessary to make that feature work, either by studying from the UMU community or a particular department that does it, and then you design it on your second objective, and then test and validate. Yeah, so something like that. Yeah, if you are going to replace Moodle, then what you would be doing is designing and implementing an e-learning system. That's what you'd state here. You'd state, on your general objective, you'd say design and implement an e-learning platform or e-learning system for UMU. Then under your specific objectives, the first one would be determine the teaching and learning processes at UMU. Or study then next design and implement a tool that imitates the processes that you studied under objective 1. Then third one would be test and validate. That is how I would see it. So now you already see, I don't know if everyone is listening, you can already see that our objectives tell us what method we are going to use and how we are going to use them. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if everyone else is paying attention. Maurice, can you, I don't know if everyone else is paying attention. Maurice, are you ready? Can you share with us?
I share my screen, okay.
Yes, please.
Let me share it. Can you view my screen?
It is starting. It's not yet visible.
Okay.
Yeah, now we can see your screen.
So are you seeing the document?
Yes, we are. So go straight to your general objective.
It's there, my general objective. Our aim is to use signature recognition and IP reputation and other security methodologies to identify and block SQL injections with a minimal amount of false positives.
So your aim is to implement signature recognition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not to use, but to implement. Because we're assuming it doesn't exist. Now we are going to implement it.
Yeah.
You're going to actually design and implement signature recognition, IP reputation, and when you say other security methodologies, you're being vague. Eh?
Oh, madam.
You're being vague there, but still, I still like it. It's much better than before. I'm not. Yes. I don't want to put you down completely, but it's much better than before. It's an objective that I think is shows you what it is you intend to implement. Yes, in general, if you had to put one word, is it possible in the networking language to combine this one, signature recognition, IP reputation, and all the others that you hope to implement? Is there one thing? Is there one name under which they fall?
Yes, I think so, madam, because Dari can come in here, madam, because Dari Grace.
Yes, please. Grace,
she's off, madam, but
okay. If you can think of just that one thing, and then under the general objective, this is where you would the specific objectives. If you can just move to the specific objectives, your first objective would be where you actually do a study. These objectives are specific objectives are too many. Yeah, they are a bit too many. One, if you can get all those things I told you, the signature recognition, the is it repetition? Yes.
Yeah.
Those all other methods. If you can put them under one term, then your first specific objective, is to identify those particular methods, network security methods. Yeah. Yes, identify them. Then your second objective would be to implement them. Then your third objective would be to test and validate them.
Okay.
Yeah. I would either maybe call them network security methods, or I don't know, there may be a technical term for them. And because I'm not an expert on network security, but I would say the first would be identify those the first objective, specific objective, not the general, specific.
Yeah.
I would,
Yes,
I would identify those network security methods. Then my second specific objective would be implement them. Then my third would be test and validate them. Just those three.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, madam.
You're welcome. So
Yes,
also in your case, you'd use both case study and design science.
Yes.
But your case study would not be all of UMU, it would be simply the UMU network.
Okay.
And probably which particular part of the network. Are you looking at the entire network? Are you looking at those parts in the control room that need looking at? You may not, your case study would be UMU and specifically maybe the network, the UMU network, back-end network or something like that. Those things that handle IP, those things, whatever, that part that of the UMU network that needs to be looked at. It wouldn't be all of UMU. For example, you in your case study, you wouldn't, if you are now looking at the tools you're going to use, your case study, you wouldn't interview necessarily, would you?
No, madam.
No, you probably have to study the network itself. Yeah?
Yeah.
You
Yes.
probably need to study the documentation to see what kind of security measures are there. You also study the documentation, the UMU network documentation, to find out what kind of operating systems are on the networks. And then,
Yes.
then from there, study documentation to find out what kind of measures can be done on those particular equipments and operating systems.
Yes,
Something
madam.
like that. So for you, it would be studying documentation. Within your case study, you probably need to do some lab experiments to see, to implement what you've studied.
Okay.
Yeah. To design and implement them using lab study. So you probably use case study, you'd have some lab experiments, and you'd also have design science, because you'd be studying what online documentation is telling you how to implement those methods, those network security methods, and then implement them. So for you'd probably have 3 research methods. And by experimental labs, I mean, you probably, let's say you'd sit somewhere in a lab, just like someone who's developing a system would go and sit somewhere and develop a system. You'd sit somewhere, and then you have maybe a Cisco switch, and then you take it through runs on how to maybe look at protect IPs or recognize IPs or things, anything like that. You test it out and then implement it on the network itself. Yeah, something like that.
Okay, madam. Thanks, madam.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Okay. So I can stop sharing my screen?
Yes, you can. I hope others are really paying attention. I hope everybody else is paying attention.
Yes.
You are. Eh? Are you getting anything, or are you getting more confused?
We are getting clear.
Okay. Is there any other group that would like to share? Is there any other group? Ivan says they'd like to share, but you say you have no mic. Eh? Your group mates, do they have, if you can share the screen and then somebody else in your group can help take us through. Okay, thank you. Who can take us through? Rita, Stephen, any of you can take us through. You can take us straight to your general objective. Please rotate your screen.
Hello.
Yes, thank you.
Ivan, could you rotate your screen to...
Hello, madam.
Yes, please. Could you rotate your screen? This is quite small. Eh?
Okay.
Okay, that's better. Just take us to your general objective. Eh?
You can.
Just take us to your general objectives.
Objective. This is our objective.
Okay, this is I see to design and implement a mobile e-learning application where teachers or lecturers can upload recorded classes and other. Okay, so that's very specific general objective, very specific. And I think you are even stating the functionality, you're saying to upload recorded classes and other reading materials. Okay, so that's a very specific general objective. Please move to your specific objectives. Sorry.
Yes, madam.
Sorry, Rita. Is it Rita talking? Somebody is talking. She's very low.
These are the specific objective.
Recording in progress.
To design mobile.
Okay.
Rita
Now,
is not talking.
who is supposed to be talking, Rita? Now,
I'm meaning, madam.
Okay, Opio, before you talk, let me just come to your specific objectives. Now, your specific objectives are generally objectives that tell us how you are going to achieve the general objective. Okay?
Yes, madam.
Now, you see your very first specific objective is saying to design. Now, you already said it in the general objective. The first thing is, how are you going to design that mobile application? That's the first question. How are you going to design?
Okay, madam, my network again was poor. Yes, madam.
Yes, please.
I'm sorry that my network was not good.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's understood. I just remember. If maybe you can just share that slide which shows.
Me to share it again.
Okay. We can see your specific objectives. Yeah. So.
You asked us
Stephen, your network is very poor. I can barely hear what you're saying.
Yeah,
Hello? Okay, let me just maybe open up a discussion with everyone. We had seen their objectives. Let me just ask everyone, can anyone tell me what you think about the Stevens group, their specific objectives? What do you think about them? Okay, I can see your screen. Can all of you hear me? Other members of the group, if you can hear me clearly, because Stephen is talking, Stephen's network is quite poor.
Yes.
Yeah. So who is this? Is this Rita?
Yes.
Okay, Rita, I had a question. When you look at your general objective, it's already talking about
Yes,
designing and implementing.
madam.
Yes, please. Okay.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, let me, I hope you can all hear me. Okay, Rita says, yes, you can. Now, I'm going to just ask, you can answer me through chat because I can tell your network is a bit poor. You have a general objective, which is already stating that you're going to design and implement a mobile e-learning application. Now, under your specific objectives, you again repeat to design. Now, you realize that's not helping the general objective. Your specific objectives should first of all start with how specifically you're going to start that design process. Okay, that should be the first thing, how you're going to start that design process. So the first question I would ask you is, if you're going to start this design process, what are you going to do first? What exactly are you going to do first to design this mobile application? Think back to all the other groups we've been talking to.
Okay, madam. First, what we shall do,
Mm-hmm.
I think we are going to do. We are going to develop like a Android app.
Before you develop that Android app, before you let me make it simpler. If somebody is going to if a tailor is going to sew a dress, what does she or he? Stephen, first listen. If you have a tailor who's going to sew a dress, what is the first thing he or she is going to do?
To first get the materials.
Even before getting
the
material, even before getting the material, the first thing this tailor is going to do is to talk to the person who wants the dress. Not so. Even before making the measurements, the first thing that tailor is going to do is going to talk, this tailor, he or she is going to talk to the person, the lady who wants the dress, or the client who wants the dress. And this person will tell them, this is what I want. Maybe they'll say, I want a wedding dress, I want an office dress, I want whatever it is, or a dress to go with to church, or a casual dress, and maybe the person will bring a picture. Then this person gets an idea. Then the next thing, this person will draw the dress maybe. Then the other thing is to take measurements. So what would be the first thing you do if you want to develop that mobile? When before you start talking about Android, what would be the first thing you'd want to do? I'm seeing comments here. Yes, for the first thing is first talk to the users of the system. Okay? You first talk to the users. And as you're talking to them, what are you trying to do? You're trying to determine system requirements or application requirements. So that would be your first objective. Determine mobile application requirements from end users. 2, design that application. 3, test and validate. So those would be just your 3 specific objectives. I'm seeing more charts here. So you get it now. So you see, somebody is saying, pardon. Now, Viola, I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. So first would be to determine the requirements of the mobile application. That would be the first thing. And that would be from the user. So that would be the first specific objective. The second specific objective would be to design the mobile application based on the specified requirements. And 3 would be to test, to design, and the second would be design and implement. The third would be to test the application. Those 3 objectives, specific objectives. Now, if you look at them, at those 3 specific objectives, they answer the overall general objective, which is to design a mobile application, a mobile e-learning application. If you look at those 3, they answer the very first objective. Stephen and group, have you understood what I'm saying?
Yes, thank you, madam.
You're welcome. Now, when I look at your research scope, I'm seeing that your research study is going to be looking at several universities. That would be Uganda Martyrs University, Kampala University, Mutesa Royal University. So you're looking at several universities, yeah? So you're also using case studies. Yeah, you're using case study strategy, but you're using multi-case study strategy. So yours would be multi-case study strategy. And you also still, you are going to use design science. Have you understood?
Yes, we have.
Yeah, so the multi-case study strategy, you would use it to get the requirements. The different cases, you'd go to Umu Masaka campus, you'd go to Mutesa 2 Royal campus, you'd go to Kampala University campus, you'd go to all these three to get the requirements. Then you use design science to design and implement. Then you also would use the cases to test and validate, because you'd implement back into the cases and test and validate. And already you can see, unlike the previous group, which was looking at network security, can you see what tools, what data collection tools you would use? Can you already identify what tools you'd use? And by tools, I mean, are you going to look at documentation like the previous group? Will you use interviews? Most likely you'd use interviews to try and get the requirements from your users. You may need to do some observation, maybe look at some documentation to see how are students and lecturers supposed to interact as they're teaching and learning. What kind of information are they supposed to exchange? You may need to look at their documentation. Maybe they have certain policies, things like that. Because your application is supposed to support existing policies. Am I making sense?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Other groups, are you understanding what I'm trying to say to this group? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that is good. Do we need to look at another group? Or you've all got the general idea of what it is I'm trying to say?
Now it is clear and understandable.
Okay, okay. So you can, those who have other work, you can also go ahead and make corrections once again. And then resubmit. I can extend that. Let me first stop recording.